Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in and listening to another episode of Oddcast the Podcast. I'm BC, your host, and I get to sit down with a dear friend of mine, Brielle Bataille. And I want to start first by thanking you for listening, for participating, for following, for liking, and most importantly, sharing. You doing all of those things for us helps a world empowered gain the awareness that we need so that we can go out and do what we need to do. But without any further ado, let me introduce my friend, my guest, the star of today's show, Brielle Bataille. The soulful earth warrior Brielle is the founder of Manifestation Media and creative digital marketing and event production agency in Denver, Colorado. She has spent the last decade using strategic marketing and social media strategy to build the businesses of many independent artists, production companies, nonprofit organizations, and startups. The mission of Manifestation Media is to help visionary entrepreneurs manifest success through proactive online business development, creative branding, and inspirational event production. Manifestation Media aims to help rebirth a new earth by assisting visionary entrepreneurs to create the visual portals that build their brands and take their businesses to the next level. And before I let Brielle speak, I just wanted to say she has been such a huge asset and a great friend of mine. We met when she was putting on the Whole Person Summit for Earthwalk. She also put on the 11/11 Unified event, as well as larger events like the one coming up that she's going to talk to us about. And I am so honored to have this opportunity to help Brielle broadcast her message and what she does to help people like me to get out there and to take our businesses, our nonprofits to the next level. Brielle, you have been such a great friend to me, and you have done so much for myself personally, as well as a World Empowered, the organization. I am really excited to have you here and for what we're about to share. Thank you so much. I love you. Let's tell people a little bit about you.
Awesome. Well, hey, thanks for having me on today, Brian. It means the world to me to share the message of empowerment, really. I mean, that to me is what a world empowered means. And I think that's a great place to start, just because essentially, what is words, right? And that is such a big part of what I think I do, right? Or what I feel I do for my clients is helping them find the right words to express their vision, express their mission, express whatever it is that they're trying to market. And so it is a very word-based business. But essentially what I've learned about words is that they have power and that they can allow the user of the word to be empowered into these different realms. And so essentially what I do in a nutshell, creative marketing. A lot of it is marketing and helping people figure out how to market their businesses. It's inspiring event production. It's actually putting on events that help to educate consumers, customers, attendees on what it is that we're really all about. What is it that we're really selling? Because a lot of times what we're really selling isn't just a product. It's an experience. It's a frequency. It's an energy. It's a vibrational reality that we're selling when you're working in the realm of business development with me particularly. And that's why my company is called Manifestation Media, because I truly have this metamorphic energy of my company and my business, and what I do changes, it transforms the metamorphosis of growing a business, right? It's not a one size fits all, everything works for everyone strategy. And it typically happens over time, right? And it's a transformational experience. And so it's interesting about my business, and that's kind of like one of the main foundations of the people that I'm working with, is they go through some sort of portal-like transformational experience where they start in place A and they end up in place CD, Z. and it's the journey that I'm actually here for, beyond the nuts and bolts of what I personally can do, because I'm a single person ultimately. I really feel like the soul of my business is helping to inspire and be a catalyst for the transformation that people need within their own mind, or within their actual daily habits, or maybe it's what they're actually doing online, to be a catalyst for that transformation, to inspire abundance, and ultimately, raise the vibration of the planet through art and music and inspired, empowered event production. And so that's kind of it in a nutshell. There's a lot of factors to it, but that's it.
Well, one of the things that I've noticed in our working together is personally the sense that I'm going from this earthworm, this caterpillar, just kind of inching along, to breaking out of the chrysalis and actually stepping out into my authenticity and sharing the message of empowerment, sharing the message of a world empowered, and spreading my wings. And you're often referred to as butterfly Brielle. So that metaphor of metamorphosis is actually poignant here. Let's tell people a little bit how you got to where you are. And we have a little bit of a taste of what you do, or the mission behind Manifestation Media, but how did you get here?
Great question, and important backstory with the butterfly energy. I really appreciate you bringing that in. And I will say that working with the medicine of the butterfly, I study animal medicine. And when I say animal medicine, I'm not talking about medicine like I take a pill.
Up rhino horns.
Yeah. I'm not talking about heartworm medicine for your dog. I'm talking about the medicine that is understanding the symbolic energy that animals have and represent in our lives. For example, one that's common that a lot of people know related to the dog is loyalty. People associate the energy of a dog with loyalty. People associate butterflies with transformational energy. It's just because of the nature of what their life cycle is. And so to back up a little bit and to start with at the beginning of my story, I think a great place to start is when I really first aligned with the medicine of the butterfly was actually when I was a young girl. I was a competitive swimmer, and butterfly was the stroke that I was most efficient at in the pool between ages 8. I was about 8 years old when I started competitive swimming. And from between 8 and I think I was about 16, 17 when that journey transformed. And I think and that was the big catalyst for kind of the trajectory I'm on now. Was I started as this butterfly in the pool, and I loved swimming because I've always felt very connected to water. My moon sign is Cancer, which is a water sign. And I've always just felt this very strong connection to water. My mom's from a coastal city, La Jolla, California. And my dad's from the East Coast, right along the water. And so I kind of have always had that opportunity to connect with the ocean. I grew up swimming in Lake Travis regularly, sailing on Lake Travis in Austin, Texas. That's where I grew up, Austin, Texas. And I just always felt that strong connection to water and mermaid energy, to the point of being very competitive, and like at one point in my life racing competitively with the stroke of the butterfly. So at one point in my life, it became clear to me that I needed to make a change. The swim team wasn't showing up for me as like, that's going to be my future. And I could go into a long backstory on that, but I think what's most important is for the audience is that I decided to let go of swimming. And that was really, in the moment, it was very excruciatingly painful for me, because it was my identity. It was who I thought I was. It was what I thought I was. When you're a young girl and you're a competitive athlete, you think like, I'm going to go to the Olympics, and that wasn't the path for me. And so letting go of swimming in terms of my future of thinking that that was going to be my career was hard. But ultimately, it is what set me on the path of where I am now. When I dropped off the swim team my sophomore year in high school, I was placed into these classes. And essentially, through being kind of falling into this class that I was in high school, I got connected to a club called Future Career and Community Leaders of America.
Nice.
And FCCLA for short. And so through my participation in FCCLA and this class that I had been dropped into, that was like the class in high school where the teacher was the advisor for that particular club, FCCLA. She kind of was my guidance counselor in my move and in my transformation and in my own journey of self-discovery, of discovering that I had skills beyond swimming. And that was a really big thing for me because I was really sad at that point in time. My heart was kind of broken from feeling this dream that had maybe in my mind at the time been lost through, not being good enough. Right. And not being fast enough.
How old were you then?
I think I was 16. So I dropped off the swim team and I dropped myself into this club FCCLA. And my sophomore year, I was just an attendee or a participant in the club. But I was an active participant, and my first time I went to competition with this club, part of the club was we would write business plans for businesses that we had ideas for. I wrote a business plan, and because of the timeline of when I had gotten dropped into this particular club, I had 3 days to write this business plan, like a whole business plan in 3 days. I did it because I wanted to go on this trip. It was going to be an excused absence from high school. I was going to get to go to the beach. My boyfriend was part of the club at the time. I had, romantic interest. That was also a motivating factor, which I think is an important thing to note because I am somebody who's very inspired by love and inspired by pursuit of love and passion in my life. But I was excited and I wanted to be part of what was going on. It was cool. It was like the cool thing to do. And so I created this business plan. I crushed it out. I think I pulled some all-nighters or whatever I did. And I went to this competition really just in gratitude to be able to be, away from school for a few days and just, outside of that reality. I love adventure. I'm an adventurer. And so I wanted to go on the adventure. And so I went on this adventure and I was stunned because at the competition, I won first place at the competition for my business plan. And so I was inspired and my eyes were open suddenly to this whole new reality of the fact that I had other skills beyond swimming. I was really good at writing business plans and figuring out how to put together, proposals and, active working documents very quickly. And I also was very talented at what I was creating, and my ideas were really well received. And I really, at that time, really needed that and was kind of shocked by that because that wasn't exactly why. I didn't really do the project thinking I was going to win. I did the project more for the sake of wanting to go on the adventure of what that was going to open. Yeah, I wanted to go on the field trip. I wanted to be part of the experience of being part of this alternate reality from just sitting at my desk at high school. And so it was that kind of catalyzed my knowledge of my own skill set beyond swimming and specifically in business marketing and proposal writing. Really, I mean, writing great documents and being able to speak about your ideas in an eloquent way and present your concepts in front of judges, which was very new to me. I had never in my life really had that type of you walk into this room essentially and you're handing them your project and it's a very vulnerable place and you kind of, they're staring at you going, and you're going, do they hate me or do they love me? Or, and you don't really know until the end, right? You don't really know until the award is given. And then, they call your name and you think you're like no one and you'd never even done anything like this before. They call your name for the first place prize. You're shocked.
How did this happen? There's no way.
I was like, what? like, what am I doing? Who am I? And that was the journey of kind of that was kind of the first big aha epiphany experience I had.
That you loved business and business development. And had you taken business classes or anything like that before? Because I wrote a business plan when I took over Colorado Lifestyle Furniture. And when I was starting my own custom company, business plans take more than 3 days normally, and a lot of preparation and a lot of skill, and sometimes some assistance from the Small Business Development Center or something like that. So, had you had any experience writing business plans or taking business classes, or how did you come about that?
So I had not taken, I had taken some classes. I'm not sure exactly what all I had taken at that point in time. My memory is not as good on that exactly what I had taken. But I come from a long line of writers.
Hmm.
My mom is a speech language pathologist. That's her master's degree. Her undergraduate is in journalism. And her family has writers and artists. And my dad's dad was a published author and writer, and his wife is also a published author and writer. So I kind of have these people in my world that are really good at writing and creative idea development through writing. But I had no idea. Like, I didn't really see myself. And I think that's a theme I will just say that I think we'll be talking about a few times today, is this idea of not seeing yourself in the way that maybe you could, based on you only really see yourself as good at things, I think, when you go up on stage and people clap. Like, it's almost like we need external validation to qualify that we might be good at things. And the reality is that there's a lot of things lying beneath the surface of our psyches subconsciously from past lifetimes, or maybe past lifetimes that are within this lifetime, that for whatever reason sometimes we lose track of. We don't necessarily, we get very kind of myopically consumed in whatever that day's tasks are, just to get through and survive. A lot of us are in survival mode. And so to be able to see yourself in your full expression with all of your talents and gifts at that young age, I mean, I was only 16. I had not really acknowledged or seen myself for who I am, or was then. And so
Schools also don't do a very good job of helping us discover who we are and what our innate talents are. Obviously, writing and sharing messages and telling stories and broadcasting missions and dreams and business ideas is kind of an innate talent within your genetic code. One of the things that I discovered a couple years after I bought Colorado Lifestyle Furniture and was a woodworker for a while is that both of my grandparents were also woodworkers. My grandpa on my mom's side and my great grandpa were both very talented woodworkers. So one of the jokes that I always said was, wood runs in my veins, both literally and figuratively. Woodworking is in my DNA. And I love the idea that one of my favorite quotes has always been, we meet our destiny on the path we chose to avoid it. You chose to walk away from that thing that you thought was your life's calling to pursue this new path, and you just followed your intuition. You had this opportunity and something spoke to you in your soul and your gut, and your intuition said, apply to this thing and fill out this business and join this business plan and join this club. And here we are a few years later, and this is what you do for other people for a living. As you know, for 15 years, I was a woodworker. I decided to walk away from that, and I thought that was my calling, and I decided to follow my intuition and divine guidance. And here I am 3 years into running a world empowered and trying to help people. So we meet our destiny on the path that we chose to avoid it. And I love that you decided to listen to your intuition and look at all the people that you help now by doing what you do. And it's just a wonderful blessing, and it's really fun. So let's get into, what do you think is the greatest factor causing the challenges for people to achieve greater success in their businesses or aspirations? In your personal experience as a professional media person and marketer, what do you think are some of the biggest challenges that people face that you see?
Great question. The number one is just lack of self-confidence, lack of self-worth. Second to that would be lack of resources, lack of capital, lack of materials, especially now, material and supply line shortages. Even if you have infinite resources to purchase things like building materials, there are building materials and microchips that can't even be acquired right now, given what the global landscape is. So it's a really interesting time to follow your passion and to try to do anything in life. And the reality is that I think a lot of people get really wrapped up into the credentials and the technical aspects of doing something. There's this sense that they need more. That would be the summary. So they need more. They either need more training, more supplies, more money, more fill in the blank, whatever it is. They don't
Certificates, diplomas,
yeah,
validation.
yeah, they don't see themselves, or they don't see what they have as adequate to do the job in some way. And the reality is that a lot of times that's totally a figment of your own creation. And I see a lot of people holding themselves back because they think that they should fill in the blank before they do X, Y, and Z. And the reality is that you just can't, that's not a real productive way to live anywhere, in any reality, in any timeline. Forget what's going on. Even if gas was 99 cents a gallon, if it wasn't gas prices, it would be something else, and that's what's kind of, it sets, so the shoulda, coulda, woulda, and the lack mentality, having lacking whatever it is, I think it's the biggest obstacle, but it's the easiest to overcome with the right tools. So I find that the most effective way to overcome scarcity mindset is honestly just claiming to the universe, everything's always working out for me. Everything's always working out for me. Why? Because everything's always working out for me. And isn't it funny how everything's always working out for me?
Especially when you believe that. When that's your paradigm, everything does tend to work out for you.
Right.
And if your paradigm is that everything is always falling to shit and life is always against you and life is always going to be hard, then you tend to manifest and create a lot more of that as well.
It's funny too, because I'm just going to be really honest with the audience. Yesterday I had a hard day, right? And you were my friend, and so you got to see kind of the inside of that. And I just want to say, everyone has bad days. It's not, there's no way to avoid the pitfalls of our modern society and reality, but there are ways to neuro hack, right? The next day, right? The next energy that you're stepping into. And I just I notice that I don't wake up with yesterday's shit on my shoulder. I wake up, I do my practices, I do my I am affirmations, I go for my walk, I smell the roses, I do whatever it is that's going to light me up. And then I tend to enter into the day that I need to enter into. And if that means that, if based on what's going on, that means I start my day at 4 p.m. in the afternoon, like I did yesterday, that's what has to happen, because I don't recommend working if you're not in a good place vibrationally. In fact, that would be one of my biggest, and I know I might be jumping ahead to what are my recommendations for people, but one of my biggest recommendations are, don't work if you don't feel good. because ultimately you're going to infuse your work with the shitstorm of a day or feeling or emotion that you're feeling. And if you can avoid working when you feel like total doo-doo, that's going to really it's going to save your employer money. It's going to save you money, and it's going to prevent you from actually making mistakes that are going to cost you emotionally, energetically, or financially otherwise. And that's a super like key to, I think, being a successful entrepreneur, is knowing when to say when, and when to say, this is so over my head energetically, this what just happened is so intense, I should not try to do what I was going to do until I'm in a better place emotionally, physically, financially, whatever it is. So
William Shakespeare once said, "The fragrance of a rose lingers on the hands of he who casts it." I think the same thing is true, that the energy that we're operating from imbues itself on everything that we do. And if we're not in that good space, that high vibration energy pattern, that if we're in that lack mentality, that scarcity mentality, that everything's going to fail mentality. And trust me, I've been there quite a bit lately, trying to put together this big event in July for a World Empowered. I think that we kind of wash a coat of that energy on everything that we do, and we're really setting ourselves up for failure if we don't, like you said, take the time to get ourselves straight, to get our mind straight, to get our energy where we need it to be, so that we imbue it with that positivity and actually manifest and create that which we're trying to design and build in our lives. So that's a really great reminder. It's very poignant for me personally. I've never put together an event like I'm doing in July, and a lot of money and a lot of time on the line, and we need to have at least 75 people there to make sure that we're breaking even and we can write the grants that we need. And I'm like, oh my goodness, how am I going to get these people here? I've sent out all these invitations and nobody's bought tickets, and I very much, for the last several days at least, been stuck in that scarcity mentality. And that's a really poignant reminder for me personally. So thank you for that. Have anything that you want to expand on that? I see ahas popping up.
well, I think that everybody that has a vision also is equipped with the tools and the will to bring that vision to reality. But the journey is not linear, and the journey is different and takes different amounts of time for every person. And typically, when I operate from a place of love and compassion, I get a lot more accomplished, and I feel more inspired to do more. And when I feel like I'm banging my head up against the wall and, paddling upstream, I'm not very productive. And so I think every business owner has to come to, they call it like the come to Jesus, but you could say come to Buddha, come to spirit, great spirit, come to eagle medicine, whatever it is, whatever your God, whatever your spirit is, whatever your higher power is. Ultimately, you have to there's moments in life that just kind of bring you to your knees. And do you know what I mean by that? And
Oh yeah.
it's that those are the moments that really show you how much you really want something, and really what your real will is to accomplish it. And we have this saying in my world, if it's not your genius, it's not your job. And a lot of people get caught up in trying to do X, Y, and Z instead of just truly breathing and focusing on what they know they can do better than anyone else and what is their medicine to share with the world. When I am in alignment with my true soul purpose, right? Going back to the work that you and I did on the 8-week Manifesting Our Dream Reality series, there was a reason why I put those particular topics together. Unlocking your soul mission, aligning with your purpose. These are things that people really need to give more time and attention to, because what will happen if you do align with your purpose, something that is literally your reason for incarnating on this timeline that you're on now, that's when you do find that things start to really get a lot easier for you, because you're in alignment with your truth, with your dharma, with your path. And so typically when I see people, for lack of better terms, fail or hit a roadblock or uncover a challenge in their path. I really don't like the word failure, because I really don't think there's such thing. I think that every failure is just a lesson learned on the path. It's kind of more the energy, but perceived failure, right? So for example, your goal is to sell 20 tickets and you only sold 10. Even though in my mind, as an event promoter, I'm like glass half full. Oh my gosh, you sold 10 tickets. That's incredible. You could see only having sold half of your goal as a failure, right? And that's the thing, though. It's kind of like, what I think people need to most understand is that selling 10 tickets is not a failure. It's just, it allows you to learn the lesson you need to learn. My dad has the saying, life teaches you the lessons that you need to learn to survive. And that, I think that really applies to so many areas of life, including business, right? If you need to sell 20 tickets to survive and you only sell 10, right? There's something there for you. Like there's a message there, there's a lesson there. And instead of making it about you, make it about life guiding you to the right direction, right? Because typically when we have quote unquote challenges, it's an opportunity to sit and to change direction on the path that we're on. And I think if we didn't have those kinds of things, if everything was always a massive success, we wouldn't have the opportunity to develop the skills and to really plan the way we need to plan to generate the intended and desired outcome. Right. So life truly is a classroom, the school. We're in the school of hard knocks, some people call it.
That's a brutal way to look at it. But yeah, I mean, going back to the ticket analogy, like if you sold 1 ticket or you sold 10 tickets, at least it's an opportunity to ask yourself, okay, how did I sell these? What worked well? What could I do better next time? Do I just need more numbers? Is there an approach that was different between the 50 people that said no and the 10 people that said yes? Is it simply a numbers game? Like they used to say in marketing, you can't say the right thing to the wrong person. You can't say the wrong thing to the right person. So how do you learn and adapt? I think one of the paths that you started heading down with this was that when we keep meeting challenges, it's challenge after challenge and struggle after struggle, to ask ourselves if we're really living our gift, if we're really on that divine path and doing that thing that we're meant to be doing, or are we trying to be a salmon swimming upstream and we're not on that path. Of course, sometimes when you're starting out and you're on that path and you don't have other people that can do the things that aren't in your divine gift set, then sometimes we have to learn how to create and build our own WordPress website. And sometimes we have to learn how to do email marketing, even though it's not in our wheelhouse per se. But making sure that we spend as much time as possible working on that gift, working within that gift zone, that thing that's our divine talent, is one of the points that I think that you started heading down. Do you want to expand on that a little bit more?
I want to comment. Yes, I want to comment on following our path But I also want to comment on the something you just touched on, which is the idea of wearing all the hats as the business owner. Okay. I really think it's a good thing for a business owner to know how to do all the different jobs that are needing to be done. It makes you a better manager. It makes you a more effective business owner to be able to, when someone gets sick, fill in for that person. If they're on the sales team, if they're on the marketing team, whatever the team that they're on that is left with a gap for any reason at any time, it is super effective and efficient, both effective and efficient, to have the skills and knowledge of what your staff is doing for you and to be able to fill in when necessary, and will open so many doors for you in terms of the types of opportunities that you can say yes to that might allow you to funnel more resources into your business, right? The more skills that you develop. So I truly believe in being a many hat wearing, multi-talented person. But like I said before, if it's not your genius, it shouldn't be your job, right? Filling in for someone because you know how to do someone's job does not mean that you should make it your day-to-day thing, because ultimately everybody has something in their world that lights them up, that gets them excited, that makes them like more hyped than other things, right? And that's where you can really start to see excellence. That's when you can really expand beyond good into greatness. It is having a passion for something where it's like your dharma and your passion and your talent kind of all converge, and you're able to really expand um, what and take off with it. And that's what the thing about when you are in alignment at that level tends to be very magnetizing energetically. The people that are meant to be on your team, the people that are meant to support you, the people that want to support you, you'll just be walking down the street and they will appear. It is that magical. It is that synchronistic. But what happens is a lot of times our ego takes us away, right? Our personality takes us away from our soul path, our soul mission. And why is that? Well, because our ego is here for a purpose too. And our ego helps to kind of shape our reality. But without the acknowledgement of our soul and what it is that truly, like if you didn't have to work ever again and you just had infinite resources, what is it you would really want to spend your days doing?
Right.
And are you doing that now? Are you incorporating that now? For me, what is it that I would always do no matter what? I would always go out and support live music, and always go out and support artists, and always go out to see cool music and art and events. That's something that no matter where I'm at in my life, I'm always going to invest in that, because it's what lights me up, what gets me excited. When I'm taking videos of cool artists, when I'm posting cool memes of cool art or cool like events that are going on, that really, it's exciting for me. It doesn't feel like work for me to spotlight artists and to showcase businesses and events and people. That to me feels like just natural. It's a natural inclination. And that's, I think, part of why I've gotten as successful as I've been as successful as I've been. And I've gotten as successful as I've gotten over the years of continuing to do the work.
Yeah, when we do something that we have to do, it's an energy drain. And like the battery on our iPhone, we just watch that thing just go 97%, 14%, 2% shutdown. When we find that thing that we love to do, it energizes us. And while we're doing it, our battery doesn't drain. It actually goes up. It charges our battery. One of the things that George Burns once said, he said, he was asked, what is the secret to your success? You've been so happy and so caring and so giving and generous with your life. What has been the major key to your success? And he said, find a job that you love to do and you'll never work a day in your life. It just doesn't feel like work when you're on the path and you're on the beam and you're living your gift. You're delivering your gifts to the world. It doesn't feel like work. And every day when you do it, it empowers you and energizes you rather than drains you. Um, and finding people to help facilitate that and take the things off of your plate that do drain you. That's why I have you to help guide me with social media and how to broadcast our message and how to get out there and share what we do so it's not as big a grind. And like the major focus of this the entire podcast is how do we help people to broadcast their dream? Because like the turtle on top of a fence post, we all need somebody to help us get there. Nobody ever reaches the top by themselves. And often, in order to get to the help that we need to succeed to the level we want to succeed, we have to get really good at learning how to broadcast that mission in such a way that people are inspired to want to join us, whether we're talking a business that we need to hire employees or a nonprofit that we need to bring in volunteers. We need to learn how to broadcast our message. And that's really your sense of genius. And that's where you've really stepped in and helped me a lot. So let's talk on that, like the importance of broadcasting. And yeah, I'll just let you run away with this because I know you've got a million things going right now.
Absolutely. Well, I have a lot of different experiences within this realm. It started for me as I started blogging, and that was something that was inspired by my dad gave me a camera my freshman year in college. And at the time, I didn't have a car. I didn't have a place to live. I lived in a dorm room. I didn't really have like a legit, hot home or any kind of responsibilities. And I lived here in Denver, and I was going to all these concerts, and I was on the street team, earning some concert tickets for putting up some posters around town. And I got this camera, and I was like, I'm really into taking pictures, and I wanted to expand my experience with, what should I do with all these pictures I'm taking at these concerts I was going to. And back in those days, Facebook groups had literally just launched. Facebook was still kind of evolving. It was nothing like it is now. And blogs were kind of like what were kind of popping up as like the hot thing for people. And there was this really popular blog called thissongissick.com, and it was like an electronic music blog. I think it might even still be going. I'm not for sure. Don't hold me to that. But initially my blog, because I was really into electronic music at that time, and I thought the name "This Song Is Sick" was really cool. I named my first blog, WordPress blog, "This Pic," P-I-C, is sick. This pic is sick. And I had been taking these kind of fun, cool pictures. I was going to these free Grizz shows, which, were like kind of in that "This Song Is Sick" genre. And this was back when a lot of these artists that have blown up now were still kind of like new and kind of had just hit the scene. And so I started going to concerts, taking cool pictures and blogging them on my blog, "This Pic Is Sick." And initially that was fun and cool, but eventually it kind of got to be where I needed to pivot, and I needed to rebrand into something that would be more overarching, because essentially I kind of learned like photography was not going to be my main focus. It was going to be event production, and it was going to be marketing for events. And so I ended up eventually, after years of doing "This Pic Is Sick," rebranding after kind of graduating with my degree in entertainment, and rebranding as Manifestation Media. And then Manifestation Media started doing event spotlight blog posts and artist spotlight blog posts. And we would do all these different kind of spotlight, and we would do ticket giveaways. I did ticket giveaways. And so that was initially why I really liked Manifestation Media as a name for a channel, an outlet to be broadcasting art and music and showcasing and spotlighting, was because my blog was a place you could manifest free tickets to concerts.
Nice.
And so I was like, instead of saying, check out this free ticket giveaway, I'd say manifest free tickets to the show here, and it was this kind of, it had a fun ring to it. And so that was kind of where it began. Was I started with partnerships with venues like Cervantes, the Black Box. I worked with Z2 Entertainment at the Boulder and Fox Theater. I worked there as security. I think I filled in a few nights as backstage hospitality. And mostly my passion was in a festival production. My first job working in Colorado for a music festival was for the Arise Music Festival. I went from a marketer promoter, like working in their social media and like intern department, to office manager, where I was managing a lot more of the moving pieces. I had, a 3-day in the office job in their Boulder office space. I was really helping on their marketing and their admin team. And essentially through all of these different channels, my blog, my website, my company, my jobs through these different festivals and organizations I was working with, I had the opportunity to follow what I learned much later down the road was my soul mission. I think that's an important part of the story. We should stop and say, I didn't actually put a phrase to my soul mission, my life purpose. I didn't actually figure out how to articulate that until like a couple of years ago. I had been on the path and doing that work without kind of knowing that that was my mission, my purpose, for a long time. And I think that's an important thing to kind of come back to, is like a lot of times we just kind of, we see what we're good at. We kind of fall into these things. We start doing things and we just kind of roll with it because we're like, oh, wow, I'm making money. I better just keep doing this thing. And so it was a really powerful time when the pandemic hit, because I got to really step back and to do the deeper work of evaluating, who am I? What am I here to do? Why am I here? What's my purpose? What's my mission? And putting language to that. So I hope that answers the question. I kind of went on a tangent there.
I want to know about your experience working with other people such as myself. I know that you work with Anastara and 1111, Paul at the Sound Embodiment and Integral Travel and all these different organizations. I know for me, like doing a Facebook Live or doing these interviews and convincing myself that what I had to say mattered, convincing myself that the conversations we were sharing could make a difference for people, and convincing myself that I needed, in order to succeed, to bring a world empowered and my speaking and events and things like that into manifestation, that I needed to learn how to actually step out and live loud and broadcast who we are and what we do. How do you convince people that that's important? How do you teach people that what they have to share matters? How do you use that broadcasting as a function of growing other people's businesses?
Vulnerability causes growth. Feeling naked, feeling like people see you, is not easy for everyone. A lot of people have a natural inclination to get on the stage with the microphone and sing a song and play the guitar, but not everyone. And it's empowering to empower others, right? I'm wearing this fun shirt that says "Empowered Women Empower Women." And so it's perfect. A message that I feel is so relevant at this time, but not just to women. It really should say empower people, or empowered light workers, empower more light workers. Because ultimately, we all need to feel a sense of empowerment, to feel a sense of someone believes in me, in my vision, in my dreams. And if nothing else, I think that that's what the first meeting and the first step of working with somebody in any kind of like consulting, coaching capacity where you're going to be doing some learning from them and they're going to be kind of guiding you along a path, you need to feel a sense of they see me and they see what I'm really wanting to create in the world. And so just listening, being a good listener, and also being a good articulator, communicating is a huge part of what I do.
Mm-hmm.
But mostly listening and letting people share their story. That's what social media and marketing really is. It's expressing the essence of your vision, your mission, your story with the world.
Yeah, one of the things that you did really well early on and working together with me was to convince me that what I had to share was of value, to convince me that, this is a good opportunity to make a difference in somebody's life, which is what I'm all about. Um, so when you told me to start doing these live streams and start doing these interviews and start getting out there and sharing with the world what we're doing with the World Empowered, I was like, okay, Brielle told me to do it. I'll do it. What about somebody that doesn't believe that what they have to share has any impact, and they're completely terrified about getting in front of a camera? How do you work with somebody like that, that's like completely resistant and they don't want to share and they don't want to tell the story and they don't want to broadcast? How do you work with somebody that's like really apprehensive and recalcitrant?
There was a key word you said in what you just shared, and the word is believe. Doesn't believe. And I would urge anyone that has a challenge with belief to explore books like The Biology of Belief by Dr. Joe Dispenza, and also just investigate that concept of how powerful our beliefs really are in shaping our realities, because that's a super foundational and fundamental thing. And to be really real with you, I'm at a point in my career where I don't attract people who don't believe in their visions anymore. It's really magical, but ultimately the only people that are being drawn to me are people who I even though they may have challenges in their business and in their life, they still believe in what they're doing at a core level. They do. They just, because they know it's their passion. That's the only thing that lights them up. That's what they want to get up and do. And so forget the resources, forget the time, forget the money, all these things that you think you need. The number one thing you really need is belief. Believing in yourself is the foundation.
It's the key to my book, The Dream Achiever. It's the important step in actually acquiring and manifesting anything that we want, is the belief that we can get it and belief that we deserve it. um, yeah, you spent a lot of time with me early on convincing me that if I wanted to make it to the next level, if I wanted our organization to succeed to its capacity, that we needed to get out there and broadcast what first of all what we do, second of all how we do it, and third of all that we're doing it. Because people, like organizations, whether it's a business or a nonprofit, they need people to support them. They need people to come and buy their products. They need people to donate. They need people. Everybody needs people. So in order to succeed to the level that we want and grow where we need to be, we have to be broadcasting constantly what we do and who we are and understanding what that message is. And you've done a really great job of convincing me that social media isn't the devil and that it's a useful tool that people actually enjoy and appreciate, and that it's a necessity for us to get out there to share. Hey, we just wrote a grant that sent 75 kids to Truscott Elementary School. Tell people that. People have donated to you. They've donated items for your silent auctions. They've donated funds and they've bought books, and you need to tell people what their donations have done. And you've done a great job of convincing me of that. And I hope that I'm doing a better job of actually getting out there and broadcasting thanks to your tutelage. And I really appreciate that in you. And as we're about to close, we've got a little over 5 minutes left here. what were some of the most important life lessons if you had a paint sprayer or inoculation gun and you could just imbue the entire world with one piece of wisdom and insight from Brielle? What would be the most empowering message that you would like to share with people?
I think that a lot of what has kept me from manifesting my dream reality in life has been doubt and fear and lack of confidence in whatever it was that I wanted to create. So to do my advice is to do whatever it takes to overcome. And there's no better time than now to start doing whatever it is that you're most inspired to do. Trusting your intuition is such a powerful tool. Cultivating your intuition. Learning to ask yourself the question and trusting the first thing that comes. That is such a hard thing. We so often want to overanalyze, hyperanalyze, and kind of overthink, period. Try to turn the mind off and tune into the heart, tune into the gut. Ask the question and trust the answer that first comes to you when you're tuned into your heart and your gut. That, if I had done that for my whole life instead of just after not doing that had cost a lot of money and problems in my world, I think I'd be much further along in terms of manifesting my dream reality. At the same time, the chaos, the turbulence, the rising above the fire of the old me, and the recovering from the fire and the ashes that I thought were my demise, those are the reasons why I think I'm really a worthwhile human now. Like, it's those things that I think, it's the moments I didn't trust my intuition that built my character. However, if I had started doing that sooner and trusting myself sooner, believing in myself sooner, I'd probably be closer to really where I want to be now than where I am. So that's
where we are now is where we're meant to be, and everything is divine and perfect in its order. So it couldn't have been any other way.
I would agree with that as well. It's just, we are a lot of times our own worst enemies. We create our own roadblocks mentally and emotionally. So do your best to stay grounded and follow your intuition. Staying grounded is actually a really good one too. And a great way to do that, just take your shoes off, go walk in the grass outside. It's like actually connecting. Oh, look, you got actually connecting to Mama Gaia, to Mother Earth, taking a break, and maybe even starting your day with a break. Instead of starting your first couple of hours on your phone or your computer, try to start outside walking. For me, even just 30 minutes to an hour in the morning, even if it's not first thing. Like I said, a lot of times I get up, I have to do something right away. It's just the way my flow kind of flows. But at some point in my mid-morning, or, I like to try to get outside before, now it's summer. It gets hot, so it's good to try to get outside, get some fresh air. I notice when I start work after getting a walk or some sort of exercise, fresh air, smelling the flowers, even just hanging out in my backyard for a few minutes, I feel a lot more excited and ready to take on my day than if I roll out of bed and try to force myself to work online for 8 hours. So enjoy the beautiful weather of summer. And if you're lucky enough to be here in Colorado, go outside and then start your day.
It's a really good reminder to me, especially right now as we're ramping up for this, working 12 plus hour days. You're like, take a break. I'm like, what is a break? I even know how to spell it, but I probably couldn't define it. Yeah, it's really a challenge right now. So it's a really poignant reminder for me, as always. Um, there was something else that you said I really wanted to touch on, and now it flew away. Dang it. How can people reach you and get in touch with you? And what do you have going on right now that you would like to share and broadcast to the world?
Thank you for asking. You can get in touch with me from my website, manifestationmedia.com. You can also find me on Facebook at Manifestation Media. I have a business page, lots of great reviews there from clients that have worked with me in the past. So that's a great way to kind of get a feel for me, my services, who I am, and actually get some real testimonials on Facebook, Manifestation Media. I'm also, I have a personal account. You can find me Butterfly Brielle on Instagram as well. And I have 2 events coming up that are kind of exciting and on the radar. One is Sonic Bloom. I will be helping to facilitate that. It's next week, June 16th through 19th in Southern Colorado. And this will be my 6th year as the marketing and communications manager for the festival. I help assist the producer with outreach and communications and all kinds of different things, admin assisting. I do virtual stage management for our Sonic Bloom Academy, which is an online experience. If you're interested in that, please reach out because that's something you can tune into from anywhere in the world. And then I have a mastermind that I'm doing as a collaboration with the 1111 Unified Global Gatherings community. It's called the 7722 Mystic Mastermind, and it's all about cultivating intuition so that we can activate our abundance. And that event is one of the first, it's actually the first mastermind event that I'm a guest speaker on. And we'll be talking all about what I was just sharing with you about cultivating intuition and how powerful that is. So we'll be giving you specific tools on that. It's on July 7th, 2022. At 7 p.m. Pacific time. So that would be 8 o'clock Mountain time. So it's a little bit later at night. It's a 90-minute Zoom call. There will be a replay provided to anyone who signs up on Eventbrite. So if you're interested in that, please reach out. If you check out the link in my bio on my Facebook or my Instagram account, you can find the link there for that mastermind. And that's where I put all of my upcoming events, is in my link tree, which is available in my Manifestation Media Instagram bio and my Butterfly Brielle Instagram bio.
Well, thank you so much for all of this. Thank you for all that you've done and brought to my life, for convincing me that what I had to share mattered and that this is going to make a big impact in somebody's life today. Thank you for being you. You are a glowing, right? You are such a glowing energy that just radiates love and happiness, and you help so many people by what you do. And you've just been a gift. So I know that I've written a couple testimonials and bits of gratitude on various forums like LinkedIn and whatnot for you, but hopefully this will be a great testimonial for you because you've really impacted my life in a large way, and I appreciate you so much. And if anybody's out there looking to start a business, has started a business or a nonprofit, and they want to learn how to hone in on their message and really define and polish what that is and how they want to broadcast and the different modalities to get out there and do that, please reach out to Brielle because that is her genius. It's not her job. She's gifted in this. So we are going to end the podcast now and jump on to a live stream here in about 25 minutes. I love and appreciate you so much, Brielle. Thank you for being here, and I'll talk to you soon.
Blessings. See you soon. Thanks for having me. Much love.